demonstrating actually is pretty neat technology. What it is involved around is controlling subscribers' bandwidth usage. So one of the things is we're working with a deep packet inspection vendor, and what they're doing is they're monitoring the traffic by particular individuals, and based on who they are and what they're asking for, we're controlling the amount of bandwidth. So for example, if you're trying to watch a YouTube at 5 p.m. when many people are trying to use data services for their Blackberries, etc., and you're on a plan that is not a premium plan, we're going to degrade your service such that we can make bandwidth available for the premium customers, the business customers, the people who really pay the bills. And so if you think about an airline model where they sell seats at different prices based more like on how you use it, that's exactly what we see the market moving toward going forward, because there's never going to be enough bandwidth. You want as many customers as you can, but you can't service them all equally. And that's a key thing, especially in mature markets. You look at the bigger markets like, for example, in Brazil and Mexico, where they've got, very good saturation. How do you keep the people that you have that pay the big bills is you give them better service. Right now there's a lot of programs for customer care when you call, how they treat you, etc. But there's nothing on the network. So when they're very well cared for on the phone, but when they go to use services, they look like everybody else. So the kid who uses $10 a month in watching YouTube is getting your bandwidth that could be for you. You can use it across. And basically, it's not a RF-based limitation, but it's actually more the backhaul, right? So we're not going to backhaul at the same rate for this kind of traffic versus that kind of traffic. So again, back to the more business-oriented or customer-oriented service. So a lot of people talk about SLAs and that sort of thing. I don't think carriers want to be that formal about it. And I don't want to use the word degrade. What I'd rather talk about is how to enhance the service experience for the top customers, right? And let the other stuff kind of work itself out. But you just want to make sure that, when the CEO of the central bank in Brazil is using his device, he gets the best service because you want to keep him as a customer, which means all the employees, are also part of it. So you want to be able to tier your customers and tier your services accordingly. Sure, there's a couple different ways. One of them we call advice of charge, right? So in session, if you're going to be degraded or your plan doesn't support the bandwidth that you want to consume, you would want to message that person and say, listen, for, $2 or so many pesos, whatever, you're going to pay, but you'll get this or not, and we can keep it the way it is, right? So if you're downloading at a low rate, well, you got to live with that, or you can pay more, and this is the way the world works, right? So being able to message your customers in session is also a key part of that technology. You want to let them know what's going on. Why did it get like this? Or, gee, it used to work great. How come it doesn't work great now? Because at 5 o'clock, it's a different program, right? And it allows you to segment your pricing. So back to our rating and charging engine, it allows you to sell products according to the way people want to use them. It's not the broadcast approach, right? So you begin to segment your market and then price accordingly. So look, if you want heavy bandwidth at 5 p.m., that's expensive, but at 2:30, you can have it for a quarter of the price because the network's much quieter. So if you look at utilization, there's only so much bandwidth you can build and return on investment. So you want to be able to get the network utilized at almost 100% all the time, so to speak. So you've got revenue running through it at lower times, but it's not impacting your high-value customers. Well, profiling specifically is understanding, again, sort of a customer segment, but also being able, if you look at third-party products, people talk about Google Maps and these other services, the carrier is cut out of that transaction. All they're getting is bearer money, so as many gigabytes, yeah. And if you look at the difference between wireless and wireline, I know this is sort of elementary, but the only difference is that the mobile people are moving and wireline is fixed. But you saw what happened in wireline is the price and the value kept dropping and dropping to fairly inexpensive comparatively, and maybe didn't get a return on investment for all the money that was laid out for it. So we want to help our carriers by keeping them as part of the mix. So when you pay someone to provide service to you like you do a wireless carrier, you want to be able to take that value of that relationship and have them do something with it. So if you're a customer, we know a little bit about you, you don't necessarily want that to be made public. Third-party companies want to sell that information. That's valuable to them. But if you're working with the carrier and that's your relationship, they can protect that information. So you profile yourself, you say, I want these services or I want this information let out about me, because there may be wholesale deals where if you're in a particular location, you want coupons pushed to you. and you're willing to do that because you have to release some information about yourself. So working with the carriers to find that right mix for their customers, so the people who want to be supported financially by advertisement are offered that opportunity. The people that don't want to be bothered aren't. That's a great question. Actually, so we provide this infrastructure that allows the profiling and location and other information to be kept, but we also help the carrier by letting them onboard the applications through our APIs. Right now, the way it works is each carrier gets a content provider, they come to them, they specifically integrate on a one-off. If that's not successful, they have to take it down, and then the next guy comes along, and you don't know what the next big content thing is going to be, or there even will be a big content thing. You know that there's going to be a lot of them, though. So our infrastructure and profiling UPS product allow us to bring content through the system, but basically provides an API that the carrier says to the content provider, here, code to this. And because the cost to the carrier to bring on these applications or take them off continues to grow. So they don't want to be impacted financially, and they also don't want to be impacted by time. So if you're using a platform like ours and you've connected once, and we're in 50, 100 carriers, you can go to the next one, the next one, the next one. It's relatively inexpensive and, more importantly, quick to integrate, so that that customer can take advantage of that right away, because you don't want to be the last guy on the block, right?